so fantastic to be here and to have you with us. We're very privileged to have you with us today. And it is Monday, it is April 13th, and we are the lifestyle medicine team here at Boots Online Doctor. My name is Dr. Samantha Weller-Pilley. I am a GP. I'm also a nutritional therapist. I'm a yoga therapist, and I am passionate about taking our weight loss journeys holistically and really looking at it from a holistic perspective and with a well-rounded viewpoint, because it's not some of the culture we have around weight loss can be very one-dimensional, and we know that we are not one-dimensional beings, and we need far more than that. So we're here every Monday pretty much to talk to you all about the holistic stance on weight loss, lasting weight loss that benefits your health for the long term. So I am joined today by my colleague Ruth, who is also going to say hello.
Hi everyone. Yeah, for those that don't know me, I'm Ruth Taylor. I'm a nutritionist with Boots Online Doctor, also a registered nurse and health and wellness coach. As Sam says, we love being here with you on a Monday. We are 100% here to take your questions. So if you've brought questions along already, please put them into the chat box. Do let us know if you've been to any of the webinars before, or whether you're a complete newbie. Just put a comment in the chat box. We'd love to know where you're at with that. And we have a couple of polls that we're going to share with you throughout the webinar. And just to remind you, those are completely anonymous. It's really to get you thinking and for us to know where the general people are at, in terms of what's going on for you as well. Just to remind you, if there is anything that falls outside of what we can safely talk about or answer your question around in a webinar, we will redirect you to the most appropriate person. Sometimes people ask things that just can't safely be talked about in a webinar on a personal level. So just so you're aware of that. And we're joined today by Julia, who's part of the Boots Online Doctor team. She's here helping sharing resources and keeping us on track. So thank you, Julia. I think it looks like your work might be cut out today. We're just having one of
Word.
those days. So let's get going.
Yes.
Um,
So this is just a check-in for everybody. If you were here last week, how have you got on in the last week with your weight loss journey? Have you made any small wins or positive changes? Let us know. This is not a moment of judgment. It's just for you to be able to talk to us. It's a little bit of accountability for you because we talked about all sorts of great things last week. Ruth, what was the topic last week?
we were talking about yo-yo dieting last week, so this is a very good follow-on from that, really, in many ways. So, we're talking about the science behind yo-yo dieting, how it's so easy to fall into that trap, and really what to do not to fall into that trap as much as possible. So, for anyone who missed that, there is a recording available, but obviously we'll be more focusing on here and now. So yeah,
Absolutely.
anything that's gone well this week, any wins over the last week, that would be great. Or any sort of awarenesses. I think an awareness is sometimes a bigger win as anything, isn't it? Like just actually understanding ourselves a little bit better on these health journeys can be really helpful.
Absolutely. And
And
reflecting on your journey so far, I think, is a really helpful thing. And that journey might not just be, a couple of weeks or a couple of months. It could be, many years that have been up and down when we talk about yo-yo dieting. It's such a common pattern that often it's a pattern that's almost, years and years long, and
exactly.
it's sometimes recognizing that without judgment and sort of noticing, okay, how am I going to do it differently this time? Um, is
I
is
need to
is
do.
valuable,
Yeah.
valuable.
And well done to Amy. You've hit your goal weight for your surgery that you're having this Wednesday. So good luck with that. And when
Wow,
you've recovered,
well
you're going to
done.
be refocusing again. So £11 in 4 weeks. That sounds like a significant weight loss. So well done to Laurie for that. Anything that you're doing differently, or is that just happening because you've got that focus going well for you at the moment? We'd love to hear. So do let us know if there's any top tips you'd love to share. So Sam, do you want to talk about this?
Let's talk about the why, which I feel like I talk about a lot because it is so important. And we've also got a poll here for you, just a little bit about your weight loss journey so far. Um, our polls are completely anonymous, so feel free to put in whatever you choose without any worry. So basically, I talk about the why a lot, or we talk about why you are wanting to lose weight quite a lot. Um, we want to make this a really long-lasting change for you, a success story that lasts. And what we know about psychology and about your motivation is having a really strong, what they call an internal motivational factor. So your why. Why am I doing this? Why am I going on a journey that I know is going to be at times really challenging? Okay. We have to, with any journey of transformation, whether we want to say build a business or something like that, there are going to be times in that journey that are not straightforward, that will be challenging. The same with a weight loss journey or a health journey, as you know, is kind of, I think, nicer to reframe it. Why are you doing it in the first place? What is so meaningful to you that you want this, even though you know that there will be challenges along the route? And some days will be much easier than others, that is for sure. So my advice would be to really sit down with that and really reflect on a personal reason, and we will all have slightly different ones. Okay, what is your deep reason? Why is it important for you to lose a what to reach your goal weight? And again, that will be completely individual to each of us. Um, it might be for health reasons, it might be to reduce pain, it might be to be an example to our children or family members, it might be to be more confident, to feel more confident. We feel that if we lost weight, we'd feel more confident in our workplace or in our relationship life or all sorts of things, right? I would really warmly encourage you to dig deep and figure out what it is for you and then frame it in a positive way. For example, I want to lose weight because I want to be the best parent I can be and be an example to my children, and that is a fantastic one. You could write that on a little post-it note, write it in your own words, because it's really important that it's your voice saying it to yourself with kindness and with positivity. So you could put it on a little post-it, stick it on your bathroom mirror. You could put it as your screensaver on your phone, somewhere you're going to see it and you're going to be reminded so that when you do have one of those challenging days or challenging moments, it's there and it is there to remind you and anchor you in why you're doing this in the first place, because we always presented with challenges. So I warmly encourage you to do that. And if anyone knows their why, because I talk about it all the time, and you have it to hand, do share in the chat box. I think it really inspires other people. And please do share with everyone. You can put that blue two box in the box you type in. You can put everyone as send the chat to. Um, I think, sorry if that didn't make sense, but you can address your message to everybody. Um, and because we'd love to hear and
Use
be
it.
inspired by you or
Yeah.
have a think about your why. But I would really encourage you to spend a bit of time with it.
Yeah, and it isn't always the thing that pops into your head first. I think what you're looking for is that thing that really, really hits your heart and hits your emotions and is really, really deep seated. It's not just that
And I
simple.
would interrogate it a bit more, like if you have something that's kind of an overall, I want more confidence. Okay, excellent place to start. Why do you want more confidence? What would that confidence mean for you? And then I would say why again. Is it five whys that we want, Ruth? Possibly. If you could make it to five whys, that would be great.
Why theory, isn't there? That once you've
Yes.
got the first why, you dig in again
Yeah.
and go, well,
Yeah.
why?
So someone here has written something great. I want to look better in my clothes. Fantastic. Okay, why do you want to look better in your clothes? Like what will that give you? Just for you. You don't have to share it if it's deeply personal. Obviously, you don't need to share it with us, but with yourself, spend some time on it. I want to look better in my clothes. Why do you want to look better in your clothes? What will that give you? And then why? Then you have an answer and then you ask why again. It's a good exercise, I think, just to go deeper. And excellent for my health. Another fantastic area, but it's a big topic, right? Health. Why do you want better health? It sounds really obvious and silly, but just why? Because it would give you more energy. It would mean you have, you're pain free, or you can do more things, or you can
Walk up the mountain,
walk up a mountain or pick up your kids or whatever. There's so many things. Health is a huge topic and it's an excellent motivator. I'm just asking you to ask a bit more why? Get to a really personal reason for you that motivates you. Um, but these are excellent places to start. So
And really,
thank you.
it's really tricky. We're not used to
Yeah,
being asked, and we're not used to asking ourselves, I don't think. We know
yeah,
the surface level, and we probably deep down know the real reason, but it can be really emotionally difficult to challenge yourself to find it. So let's have a quick look at the poll before we move on, because it's helpful for
yeah.
us. So, from the people who've answered the poll, which is about sort of like a third of two-thirds of you, um, everyone has who's answered the first question has been in the situation of losing and regaining weight. And the reasons for that, staying consistent is one of the key answers. Emotional eating is one of the key answers. And then a few people are losing motivation, and some people are struggling with knowing what to eat. So let's see if we can put that right. We have got a webinar all about what to eat next week. So come along to that if you're the people who are struggling with that. And we can pick up any questions that's relevant for you at the end of the webinar as well. So please do ask anything that's triggered for you that you would like to know more about, because that's why we're here.
Absolutely. We've got some great whys in the chat box, so thank you for sharing those. And if you can, just as an exercise, just why yourself again, why it again, and see if you get anything deeper, if anything comes up. And you don't have to do it during this webinar. You can take it away and think about it too. But thank you so much for sharing. I think it inspires
Yeah,
everybody.
and we have got a why poster, haven't we? So
Yes.
actually, we could share that as a resource, and you can actually download, print the poster, fill it in, stick it up somewhere inside a wardrobe door, on your fridge door, wherever you're happy for it to be. But it's good to have that little reminder in front of you as well. So let's have a look at this. So actually, what we've found out from working with all of you and many other people as well is that I'm looking at the research is that structure is one of the things that can be really helpful for maintaining progress. And also for people who are in that maintenance phase, which I know a few people are joining us now in that phase too, this is also really important too. Structure is something that can be really helpful for maintaining that focus of success and for that feel good factor. So we know that the research is telling us that those people who successfully maintain their weight loss are the ones who actually keep their eye on the ball. I guess that's no surprise. And I know it's not that simple, but actually, maybe it's a little bit less complex than we make it. Maybe it's just about having that focus, that why, having a little plan in place, and actually stepping up and doing the plan most days. So, having a plan to maintain your weight loss is really vital. We know that from the research, weight loss maintenance is one of the less commonly considered phases of weight loss than maybe the stage of weight loss of itself. And actually, what the research is helping us really understand is that for people who are maintaining, as well as those who are losing weight, we need that plan, we need that focus, we need that why. We need to know why we're here on this journey. We sometimes have to refresh our goal, we have to think about it. We'll talk about that a little bit more. So this is a really important part. You need to be having some sort of structure. You need to be monitoring where you are. It could be your weight, it could be your energy, it could be your waist size, the top of your thigh, the top of your arm. It doesn't have to be a number on the scales. It could be how you feel when you wake up in the morning, whether you're sleeping well at night. All of these factors can make a huge difference to how we lose weight. We have webinars on many, many subjects that are interlinked with successful weight loss. So do come along to those if they're relevant. But we know from lots of you that many people who've joined the webinars in the past who have successfully lost weight have then regained it. So what we want is for this to be a different story for you. We want this to be your continued success story. So we really want to help you not take your eye off the ball. We don't want you to get to that point of, oh, that's it, I'm there now. I can just breathe easy. I can relax. I can stop thinking about it. Because we know that, especially in those initial few months, that is the danger zone. So we want you not to trip yourselves up. And also, the key thing here is if you do find that you put on a little bit of weight, that's probably quite normal anyway, because we have a little steadying time. But actually, don't be deterred by that. Don't be so demoralized that you lose it altogether. So, have a plan and take action, I think, is really important. Somebody's asked what to eat. So, actually, we have our core eating plan, and we would really recommend that you're thinking around eating in that way, not only for weight loss, but also for your maintenance journey. It's sort of about learning a new relationship with food. It's about making sure you're nailing all of those key components on a healthy food plate. It's not about ditching what you were doing when you were losing weight and then going back to what you were doing before, because we know for many people that can be the turning point of things not working so well. So we want you to find a healthful way of eating that's achievable 80% of the time for you. So the core meal plan, the Mediterranean style of eating, those are the two areas of eating we'd really want you to focus and put your attention learning to eat the foods that are going to love you and help you feel satisfied, energetic, healthy, that are going to give you the energy to enjoy every day and that are going to keep you feeling full, satisfied, and not looking for all of the less healthy snacks all of the time. So that is all organized around making sure you've got those healthy vegetables on your plate. We want half of your plate to be colorful, healthy vegetables. We want you to be nailing your protein. You need to be on at least, we would say, a gram of protein per kilogram of body weight. And if you're really struggling with satiety, you can push that up a little bit higher. Do ask us if that doesn't make sense. And then we want you to have some of those healthy fats on your plate. So, Julia, hopefully you shared those resources for us. The core meal plan, we've also got a core GLP-1 meal plan, so please share that. And please also share the Mediterranean style of eating as well. That would be great. We also have protein content of food. So if you don't mind sharing that in a second, Julia, as well, that would be great. Because all of those can really help everyone here. Anything you want to add to that,
Absolutely.
Sam?
No, and I'm just really glad that we're talking about maintenance because I think we're seeing a lot more people who are in that maintenance phase now or approaching the maintenance phase, and people get
Yeah.
a bit nervous. And I think what you alluded to there, Ruth, was really this diet mindset, which I think is something that has been around for decades, that is in, the Slimmers Club or whatever it is. It's like you're not. We want to get rid of this idea of you are either on a diet or you are off a diet. we are we are really wanting you to enjoy your food. We love food. That's why we are here. That's why we're both nutritionists, right? We love food. We love cooking. We love that our diets and the way we nourish our bodies can have such an impact on our well-being. Okay. So we would warmly encourage you to find a style of eating that you really enjoy and that you can stick to 80% of the time. And once you get to a maintenance, there's a bit more leeway there. That 80/20 rule really comes into effect. When we're sort of at the beginning of our journey, we need to be a little bit more disciplined just because we're trying to form new habits. We're trying to get on those neural pathways flowing so that we make healthy choices and they just become automatic. So that it's not that we are on a diet. This is just how we eat. This is just how we sleep. This is just how we look after ourselves. It's not an effort. We're not having to think about it so much because we've repeated the pattern so many times. We know what we're doing. So we're not so likely to fall back into bad habits. I'm doing inverted commas there, bad habits, or the habits that have got us to a place where we're not happy with our weight for whatever reason, for all the why reasons that you've come up with. Okay. Anyway, let's go on to muscle mass. Muscle is fantastic and it is your metabolic safety net. I really like that expression. Okay. So when we really have an eye on maintaining muscle mass after reaching your weight loss goal or building some muscle whilst you are losing weight, it's a really key aspect to healthy weight maintenance, yeah, and a healthy body composition. Okay. Um, so the things we need to build muscle and maintain muscle are activity, protein, sleep. Okay. And we need calories, and our body needs calories. Calories is just a measure, a unit of energy. Okay. Of course, our body just needs the vast majority of calories we burn in a day are just burned to keep us alive. All the basic processes of your cells, of your organs, everything ticking away, your heart, your muscles pumping, your brain firing off neurons all the time. This all takes energy, and that's all burning calories. Okay. Um, so we do, so calories are not the enemy. Okay. But what we need to look at is our how we build our plate, how we balance what we've got on our plate. And we've talked about several different approaches to eating. We've got the GLP-1 meal builder, we've got the core meal plan, there's Mediterranean. There's good evidence that these are healthy diets and they contain lots of fresh, whole foods, colorful foods, a good amount of protein and healthy fats and fiber. These are things that will keep you feeling fuller for longer, aim to reduce your sweet cravings, keep your blood sugar nice and level over the day. And when you've got enough protein on your plate, your muscle needs protein to be maintained and also to build more protein. So if you're having 1 gram per kilogram body weight of protein every day, that's great. If you are at the gym, if you're doing resistance training in any form, maybe you have a weighted vest when you go out and walk the dog, then that is also building muscle, or you're doing squats when the kettle's boiling, you are building muscle. Even body weight exercise builds muscle. So you might want a little bit more. And it might be the case that you build up to a bit more protein in your day, okay, if you're not used to it. So activity obviously is important, as I've said. Resistance is for muscle mass is important. So adding a bit of weight to your exercise if you can. Body weight is fine if you're just beginning. If you're a bit more advanced, then you might want to be looking at different ways to add a bit of weight to your exercise or activity. Sleep is really important also for your whole. Sleep is a non-negotiable for health, but think of these as sort of pieces of the puzzle to really look at fitting them together. And you can consider doing a body composition analysis. Often they'll have these fancy scales at gyms. You can get sort of inexpensive versions from various high street providers. They so that obviously the less um, fancy versions may not be as 100% accurate as the more fancy ones that they invest in sort of healthcare settings, but it might give you an idea of where you are and the scale of body composition being a reading would give you a kind of analysis of how much water is in your system, your proportion of fat tissue to muscle tissue is in your system. And really what we're looking at on this health journey and this journey of weight loss is to make that ratio more healthy. So we want to be losing fat tissue and maintaining at least, preferably gaining muscle mass. And also bearing in mind that muscle tissue is very metabolically active, which is why we can call it a safety net, because it's burning more calories at rest. So if you're just sat watching Netflix at home, your muscles are still burning calories. Okay. Fat tissue, unfortunately, has metabolic activity, but far less than muscle. Okay. So we want to be burning the fat tissue or using the fat tissue and losing it and building more muscle if we can. So that's the premise of this slide. Please do ask questions if any of this doesn't make sense. We have also Q&A box, so please do use the Q&A box at the bottom. It's easier for us to find your questions at the end of the session.
Brilliant. Thanks, Sam. I think it's just so important, isn't it? And you're going to talk a little bit about that whole emotional eating, tackling habits.
Yes, yes. So I think we all, well, I'll put my hand up too. I would just not assume for everybody, but I certainly have been uh gone through periods where I have eaten more because I have not felt brilliant in myself because I've been stressed out or I've been upset or what have you. And sometimes that can actually it's something that so many of us do experience, and it can be a reason for weight gain. It's almost using food as a kind of prop or a crutch. Do let us know if this resonates with you. It's sort of um, it's from what we've seen, it's a signal to us to look at our personal relationship with food. Okay. And this could stem from our childhood, whether food was always given to us as a comfort or, there's all sorts of reasons why we may look at food as a crutch, and it's kind of an easy one. Um, yeah, this is again, like I was speaking to you about before, this whole journey is about resetting habits that are not serving us. Okay. So it's not about having a go at ourselves or being unkind to ourselves. We have developed habits over a lifetime. So it can take a little bit of time to recognize, oh my goodness, I do this when I'm stressed. I go for the chocolate biscuits, or I go for the ice cream, or I just don't exercise like I used to. I'm kind of curling up into a ball and I'm watching a box set, so I'm not really moving and I'm eating rubbish, and this is not helping me to achieve my goal. Okay. So it's not about telling ourselves off. It's about noticing, you know, giving ourselves that sort of breathing space to notice and then making a conscious choice. Is there something different? It doesn't mean that you can't have anything to eat. You just can we make a different choice? Can we go outside and actually move our bodies a bit, just walk around the block and just take some deep breaths and then come back and make a different choice in the kitchen, Um, what would that feel like? Is that possible for you in those moments? Okay. Um,
Um,
and sometimes, I'm sure, Ruth, that you see a lot of folks who are recognizing patterns in themselves, in your clinics. Would that be right?
Yeah, I think it is very much that people, these aren't things that we talk about in many of the weight loss arenas. So I think people, we almost have a really simplistic view. Well, we do have a very simplistic view of weight management, or have done for the last couple of decades, I would say at least, that it's sort of all about restricting ourselves, managing calories, and everything's going to be okay. But actually, I think what we know is for people who've lost weight and regained it and lost it and regained it, that there is often more of a deep-seated relationship with food. The food perhaps shows up more as a prop than it does as a nutritional source. There's almost like a change in relationship. And I know from working with several people that people can find it very freeing when they sort of finally work out what that relationship is and how to maybe swap something different in instead of food. It sounds so simple, it's really complicated. And I think it's just about getting our heads around what's relevant for us. And it may be relevant for some of you that are here today. And I think that moves on nicely to thinking about this whole all or nothing thinking, that whole diet mindset. And I know from many people and from myself over the years of losing weight and regaining it, that actually many people who are in that diet mindset almost go on a diet and they come back off the diet. And that's this whole all or nothing mindset, the whole, yes, I'm being healthy. No, I'm no longer having to focus because I've reached my goal. We want that to be a thing of the past. We want to set a trend now for everyone that actually we recognize the importance of thinking about our health and how we turn up for our health every day. This 80% rule, the following it 80% of the time, we don't have to be perfect. We can still have treats. We can still plan to have days out with friends. We can have celebrations with families. We don't have to be perfect. We don't have to be perfect every week. It isn't that we suddenly don't have to be perfect. We can have treats on the journey and learn to have them in a way that is manageable and not overwhelming, and that we can maintain our health goals. And I think this is really important. And actually, all the research suggests that anyone who does gain a little bit of weight, oh, here we go. What's going on? That actually we then continue on those journeys and return maybe to baseline very quickly. I'm just wondering if I'm still on the call. Hello, can you hear me? Or whether I've dropped off. Ah, has Sam dropped off? Something's happening on my screen. Perfect. Sorry, everyone. We're having a great day today, as you can tell. So, yeah, it's about actually just really reframing it. You don't need to have a perfect day. You need to sort of develop an almost recovery skill, almost a sense of perspective of, okay, it's all right. I had a dip, I had a treat. Perhaps it wasn't a planned treat. It doesn't matter. Tomorrow, this evening, it was lunchtime. This evening, I'm just going to be really healthy. I think it's just putting in that almost imminent, urgent reset rather than just feeling that sense of doom that actually you've blown it, you've failed. And then when you feel that sense of doom, goodness me, then it just the whole process continues and the doom continues. And then suddenly you find that you're back where you don't want to be. So it's about the reframe, really. And it's about just keeping your mindset and not overthinking it, not feeling like you failed when actually we know that that's not going to be the case. So I'm just going to see whether Sam is here, whether we've lost her altogether. I can't see her, so I'm going to carry on without her for now. Julia, if you happen to see Sam in the participants, can you promote her across to panelist, please? Sorry, everyone. It's one of these wonderful things today. Okie dokie. So let's think about the secrets of success. We often think about success, that it's about reaching a specific number on the scales and staying there effortlessly. But that's really not what science is showing us. We know that in life, weight fluctuates, and that is very normal, and life happens. So even when people maintain weight loss long term, they have periods where things drift, where they don't stay on track. And this is what we now need to learn as that new normal. It is just the new normal is variation in our weight, variation in how we feel is normal. It isn't a disaster. So the difference is for people who are just tracking and who are in that maintenance stage successfully is that they are recognizing that they've drifted quite quickly and they adjust back quickly. So I think that's the thing. You don't wait for a 1 stone regain or a 2 stone regain before you think, okay, I need to do something about it. Equally, it isn't that you never go off track. We know that weight is going to be very variable. So it's about just moving your expectations of yourself along the process and actually recognizing that it's very likely you might have a moment where you gain a few pounds and that you just take a course of action straight away. And we now know that from the science and from the research, people who manage to do that navigation and just go with that ebb and flow and not feel overly anxious or almost bury the head in the sand because they can't face it are the ones who are going to be in that maintenance phase long term. This is not an easy journey. We're not suggesting that at all. But there are some things that we can learn from all of the research that's been done around these subjects. So yeah, Sam, nice to have you back. Sorry we
Sorry,
lost you
sorry
there.
about that. My Zoom. This what a funny day. My whole Zoom just disappeared in front of my eyes, so
Oh,
apologies.
okay.
But here we are. Thank you for that. So yes, the 80% rule and getting back on track is so vital that it's nothing is a straight line. If any think of anything in our lives, it's never a straight line. Our relationships, our family connections and things go up and down, things change and life changes and throws us curveballs and sometimes it's plain sailing for ages and then something happens and things change a little bit. So it's really is a process of getting more comfortable with those changes and that we can't always control everything. And we have to be kind to ourselves on the way. Um, so we've got a little poll here about lasting weight loss. Just having a think on what we've talked about today about what's the one thing you're going to focus on. Um, and this is just a slide all about support. Self-care and community support can be really a really powerful way of staying on track. We've got the app, we've got the tracker app that can be really helpful. I know that those of you who perhaps some of you have engaged in coaching, there's a whole community support area and chat room and all sorts of things that people find really beneficial on there through the Boots, the weight loss coaching that can be especially useful in the maintenance phase. I have found um, gratitude, which sounds simplistic, but is actually such a powerful tool for getting us back into a space where we can actually grow from. Because I think often we can be really hard on ourselves, especially if we've been on a journey that has been a long time and maybe there's been some yo-yoing along the way and we can really berate ourselves and not be our own best friend. So I'm just wanting to bring gratitude in here just as something that really supports well-being, that really supports each of us in our mental health. And our mental health has such an impact on our physical health. And I know lots of us have physical health reasons for wanting to be on a weight loss journey, on a health journey. Um, don't forget gratitude. It sounds simplistic, but it is quite miraculous when we can actually truly feel heartfelt gratitude for anything. It could be the clothes on our back, it could be the food in our fridge, it could be people in our lives, it could be the roof over our heads, the pen in your hand, your colleagues, whatever it is. I'm sure you have millions of things, and everyone has millions of things in their lives to be grateful for. If we have that attitude and that perspective, it can really work wonders. Community also really powerful for ongoing, for yes, in the sort of acute phase of losing weight, but especially on that the journey after the acute phase. Maybe we've reached our goal, we're really close, right? How do we reconcile with ourselves when we have been, perhaps taught all our lives we're either on a diet or we're off a diet. No, we're actually changing our habits for life. We are loving the foods that love us back, and that is not going to change. We're really going to stick to something that supports us. And that doesn't mean that you never have a slice of birthday cake again in your life, because that would be madness. We want you, of course, to enjoy your life and celebrate with those that you love. But we're really looking at that 80-20 rule, 80% of the time that you're really following that, what your body loves. And then on those days where you have an event or you have something special happening, then of course celebrate and enjoy. But we're really looking at that keeping in alignment. So yes, we might not be going on a straight line, but we come back to where we know our our um our health goals are supported. And of course, we have our webinars on Mondays. There's also the podcast if you want to, if you haven't checked it out yet, it is very good. And if I do say so myself, it is very good. We get a lot of good feedback from it. And I think it will really help you. There's some longer episodes and shorter ones on there, the Tracker app, and there is coaching as well, if that is something that you'd be interested in for a bit more personalized support. It's because it's done in a one-to-one sense. But we're going to move on to our Q&A session now, aren't we, Ruth?
Yeah, just to remind you that we're here next week, or we're here for the next few weeks. The beginning of May for the bank holidays, we switch over to the Tuesday, so we're going to be here for the next couple of Mondays. So this is what we have coming up. Julia, could you share the link to sign up? And I can see from the poll, so just going to have a quick look at that, just to let you know that we are interested, and it is important to know what's going on for everyone. So actually, the most popular answer is that you're going to be consistent. And yeah, that's not the poll we want, I don't think. So we were going to share the weight loss phase poll, if that's possible, Julia. That would be lovely. So consistency, tackling emotional eating, all of those things, because if they're really important to you, so thank you. Cool. We're just going to launch the phase just because it's helpful for us when we come to your questions to know whereabouts on your journey you are in your weight loss journey, or whether you're maintaining, whether you're midway through, right at the beginning, you are all welcome to be here. So, sorry, we've had a few glitches in today's webinar, but hopefully that makes you realize we're completely human and this is completely live.
If anyone thought we were AI, we're really not.
No, we're definitely not AI, are we? Um, so, question. As a vegetarian, it can be difficult to maintain protein levels. How to increase it? That's such a great question. And it can be really, really challenging. I think more so as a vegetarian. I will eat vegetarian meals, and you do have to pack in a lot of protein-rich foods to actually reach the sort of required amount. So, things that can help is just maybe layering the different types of protein that you could get. So using beans and lentils and also brown rice will have a little bit of protein in. Obviously, we wouldn't recommend you to have a lot of brown rice, but that can bring in a little bit more. Quinoa is a great source of protein. And we've got some vegetarian resources as well, haven't we, Sam? I think so. We
Oh,
could.
yes, please do. Julia, you might have done it already, but please do share the
Yeah,
protein
yeah,
document because we do recognize I was vegetarian for a long time and it can be tricky. If you get on with tofu, that's a great source of
yeah.
protein for vegetarians and vegans. If you eat eggs, a little bit of cheese, of course, we have to look at the fat content as well, but a little bit of cheese is okay. Nuts are great for a bit of protein and fiber and minerals. Nuts are fantastic. I
They're
think
not
there's
bad.
actually a lot of, I don't know if people are social media people. Like I'm not really, but I I love food, so I follow a lot of people that cook. So I will watch people that offer sort of plant-based. They might train and they do plant-based cooking, so they're actually really inventive on using chickpeas and beans and tofu and all these things like within a pasta dish or something because you do need energy. We do. It's not that pasta or rice is the enemy. We just maybe look at the quantity and the proportion on the plate. But yeah, I would maybe I mean, social media is, I think it can be really useful. There are some great vegetarian chefs out there who give, very easy, like, evening, working evening uh, meal planning ideas and things. I think it's sort of get curious. And I think it's an excellent question for protein and vegetarian. So we have a really good vegetarian or plant-based eating guide. So I hope that is helpful for you.
Yeah. Great question here. At what point do successful maintainers take action? A friend allows herself a £5 leeway. Is that about right? I really like the question, and I think it is probably a little bit more personal than saying, I'm going to do what my friend does. It's about what works for you. It might be that you do that sort of like anything up to that half a stone, I think, so £7. Anything over that, then you and maybe before that, for some people, I think in those first few weeks, you probably want to stay within those 4 to 5 pounds of your goal weight if you can, just because psychologically you will feel so much better if you just can consider that your maintenance window. So I would almost say set yourself a window of what you want to go, don't want to go below, and what you don't want to go above. Because don't forget when you reach a certain weight and your healthy weight, some people might actually dip lower than that and actually want to be higher. So it's a two-way street. So let's get a window set up of what works for you and where you feel vibrant and energetic and your clothes feel comfortable and you feel happy when you look in the mirror. Whatever it is, your health feels good, whatever that aspect of health is that you're focusing on. So I think just choose a window that works for you. What would you say, Sam? Up to sort of half stone max, I would say. Um,
Yeah.
I'd want you to have your eye on the ball and just really be taking note a little bit more frequently to begin with, till you feel.
Yeah, I work more in kilos, so I'd probably say 3 to 4 kilos would be I would three probably 3 kilos. I'd be a bit like, okay, I don't want to increase more than 3 kilos. 3 kilos, okay, and then I would start really looking and maybe looking at not letting that on off diet on diet off mindset get into place and really, really gently inquire about that with myself, not having a go at yourself, just saying, you know what, this is for life. These are the changes I want to maintain this new fantastic way. I have so much less pain in my joints, for example. I can have more energy, I'm sleeping better, XYZ, all the wonderful things. And just reminding ourselves, right, this is not temporary. This is who I am now, because we really want to make that change at the level of identity, a really deep level. This is who I am. I am this person that weighs insert goal weight here or whatever it is, or who is a size 12 or who is a size 10. And that's just me, and it's not that, oh, I'm a size 18 and I'm just faking being a size 10. That's not what we want. We really want you to sort of move with it and be really like proud of yourself for making it to your goal, achieving that and maintaining it is the next step. And I'm not so, keeping an eye on it without being hard on yourself is the balance we want to strike.
Yes, so there's a really interesting question here that may be quite complex for us to answer, but somebody's asking how Manjaro works when you hit that maintenance, and maybe you've got a complex health condition such as type 1 diabetes. If you can move that across into the question box, it would be good. I've lost it already, that's all. So I've only got half the question. If we can find that, here we are. Can I ask, has there been any research into how Manjaro works when you have got to a normal BMI, insulin dependent diabetic, and have lost 5 pounds? So it might be that you're a sort of complex type 2 diabetic. I guess, I mean, we know that Manjaro works in a number of ways. It acts both on your insulin sensitivity, it acts on your satiety, it works in your brain in terms of satiety too. It's sort of very multidimensional. And we know that one of the key factors that seems to be becoming more recognized is that it has quite an anti-inflammatory effect in terms of that metabolic health, the sort of diabetic health profile as well. Um, I think at some point in the near future, we will maybe create a whole webinar for people who are in that bracket, because I think it is a growing area that we will be working with. So we'll consider that. Anything you want to say additionally, Sam?
No, and I imagine that you are a bit more of a complex patient with the insulin on board as well. So I imagine that the Manjaro will also be supporting your blood sugar balance as well as the insulin, because of course it's going to be impacting what you take in. So it will be part of your diabetes management also. Um, um,
Yeah,
and what is it? Yeah, unfortunately, I don't know. It works in the way that Ruth explained, but for you with insulin dependent diabetes, type 1 or type 2, it will also be playing a role for you supporting your um, blood sugar management.
yeah. Somebody's saying thank you that despite our technical issues, happy 13th. I was thinking that myself.
Lucky for some,
Great
perhaps not us
form.
today.
I was raised in a bit of a perfectional give up environment, so having these warm and encouraging sessions is really helpful. Thank you. I know it's not a question, but it's helpful for us to hear that you like our
Yes.
human frailty. Um, Somebody's taking, we gave Ian asking if they would need to change to Manjaro at some point. If you're finding that Wegovy is working for you, even though you're even working with you as a pre-diabetic, you will have been assessed to be on Wegovy. That should be completely appropriate for you to stay on it if it's working for you. There is no known reason for you to change, and that we would know of. Just track how everything is working for you in terms of your blood sugars, in terms of your weight management, in terms of your energy, any other um, associated health conditions. Um, so let's see how that goes. You should be doing well. And if you're a Boots Online doctor, patient, customer, whatever you term yourself as, and you're concerned that you're on a medication and you might want to change, then just write in. We will do our best. We have a wonderful weight loss team, and we are here to take your questions, not just Sam and I, but a much wider team as well.
Yeah.
Someone's asking how soon they should see a difference in terms of starting Manjaro. They've just started taking Manjaro. And doing some healthy eating as well at this time. Healthy waterway was not moving, perhaps due to menopause. Okay, we're doing a whole serious session on menopause, I think, on the 27th of April. So please do book and come along to that. It will just be really talking around that subject and helping you understand why it can be a little bit more complex to lose weight at that stage and what's going on physiologically, and how important our advice doesn't change even around the menopause, because actually all of the research really supports that this whole sort of low glycemic, low sugar, and maybe a slightly lower carbohydrate approach to eating for all of us in health, in menopause, in cardiovascular disease, and diabetes is generally a really good, healthy, long-term approach. And it sounds so simplistic, but actually, really and truly, it's about finding your rhythm, finding the foods that you can really enjoy and that are healthy as well. Not thinking, oh, well, I really enjoy crisps. Am I going to be able to go back to those? Yes, of course you can have them, but you just can't have them maybe all the time. I hope that doesn't sound rude. Someone's asking if they can still access the webinars when they're no longer buying medication yet. The webinars at the moment are available for anyone, irrespective. If you're a Boots Online doctor customer, we will be encouraging you to come along. Um, Somebody said they've discovered great motivation this week, lifted dumbbells equivalent to my weight loss. Wow, that
That's
is
great.
so cool. I had been disheartened by what I thought was disappointing progress, but it made me realize how far I've come. That's really fantastic to hear, and well done for that. I often think, you could go into the supermarket and get those packs of sugar, which are now, are they 1 kilogram?
Yeah.
And you just literally put a few of those in a shopping basket and lift it. Because actually, I think that's really motivational. So maybe think about, I've lost £10. I'm going to put 5 packs of sugar in a basket and see how far I can carry it around Sainsbury's or Aldi or wherever I go shopping, and just see how that feels. Because I think that is what you're doing, Mitch. I mean, obviously in the gym, that's very impressive. But actually, yeah, we've got a whole webinar on stress management and how important that is for you in terms of this weight loss journey and managing all of the stress hormones. So do listen to the replay on that, and we will run that again sometime over the next 2 or 3 months, I would say. But the key thing is managing your insulin levels. So again, it's back to eating that low sugar, the low glycemic, the low carbohydrate. It's about making sure you've got your protein, your magnesium-rich foods. Those dark green leafy vegetables are rich in magnesium. So it's just about bringing in the foods that are going to support you through that stress. And then maybe it's you don't sleep well when you're stressed. You've got a lot going on in your mind. So how do you switch off in the evenings and calm everything down? So it's the whole story, isn't it? We're humans, we're not machines. Just because we know what to do, it can be really difficult.
Yeah.
Somebody's asking,
There are so many comments today. Sorry, there's some great comments. I'm sorry we haven't been able to read through all of them. And there's some lots of why. Some of them I would invite you to interrogate a little bit more.
don't forget
Um,
the 5 whys.
yeah. So come up with it. Okay, why do you want to lose weight? Come up with a sentence. Why? Come up with another sentence. Ask why again. Try doing it 5 times if you can get down to five. And just as Ruth said earlier, like we don't usually ask ourselves, like reflect in that way and go that deep. We'll think of the umbrella, the health. I want my health to be better. brilliant. Okay, why? 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 What does that actually mean? What would it mean to you to have that much better health? And we can sort of crystallize our goals a lot more, and then it gives us something really to aspire to. And I think that
I mean, I was talking to a friend at the weekend and she is on a weight loss journey and she's struggling to walk up a hill. So for her, Hawaii isn't just about her health, it's actually that she wants to walk up the hill. And actually, for her, that is a real sign of that her health is in a better place. So it's those things, isn't it? Those really
yeah,
emotional things that make us feel happy or that
very
yeah,
personal,
we did we can't do anymore. That suddenly they become important, don't they? Somebody's asking about meal timing and weight loss, and is there any research to support stopping eating at a certain time of day that can actually support weight loss more successfully? Again, I think this is really interesting, and there is actually a huge amount of research around time restricted eating, around alternate day fasting, around timing of meals and your circadian rhythm, so that the daylight cycle and the night cycle. And it isn't individual. I think what we know from reading all of that research, Sam, would you agree, is that actually we are better if we can following sort of like a daylight pattern as
hmm
much as possible before eating. But unfortunately, we live in a world where food is available all of the time. We have electricity, so we can cook and we can see food all of the time. But if you think back to what our ancestors did, they were very much more governed around that light and dark cycle. And I think if you can eat more within daylight hours, there is quite a lot of research that would seem to support that as a healthier way and a more successful weight loss way as well. But we know that there are people here who are on shift workers, who have families, who have huge amounts of stress, who can't manage to eat. And then it becomes about what can you manage around you and your life.
Yeah, absolutely. It becomes individual when we take into account our 3D lives of families and jobs and shifts and all sorts of things. So usually, when we talk about time restricted eating, we look at patterns of, hours of eating. So 12-12 is the first one we would say to start with. So pick 12 hours in the day. So maybe that's 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. and that is your eating window. And then you give your body a break over the next 12 hours. And then, you have your 2 or 3 meals during that time and you make a conscious effort not to snack. I would say to put that in the morning. So again, you're doing the daylight thing and you're not snacking late into the night and then going to bed on, having snacked very recently. That would be the first suggestion. And I think there is good evidence for the support of weight loss as well as health. There's all sorts of health benefits to having time restricted eating, but we're focusing on weight loss really here.
Somebody's asking a question. Obviously, started taking a weight loss medication recently and are feeling very nauseous and sick in the first 24 hours. Just questioning whether that's going to settle down. Sam, any thoughts around that?
Um, Nausea and feeling sick is a very common side effect of the weight loss injections. Um, it, Often it will clear. Um, I'm assuming you'll have started on a very low dose. I would speak to your healthcare provider. If it's really terrible, really unbearable side effect, then I would speak to your GP, because you ought to be able to get some anti-sickness medication if that would help you. Otherwise, stay hydrated, sips. You might want to go for a ginger tea. Ginger is very good for nausea. Fennel, I think, also is good for nausea. Don't try and eat anything too much. Just go for quite bland foods, as you would normally if you felt a bit sick. You wouldn't really be eating very much. But do bear in mind, the medications do not suit everybody. And the idea of the medications is not that you feel so rotten that you cannot eat. That is not how the medications work. Okay. So if you feel really, really terrible, one, I think you need to talk to your healthcare provider. If it is minor, then something like ginger tea, fennel tea would be helpful. If it's more than minor, then definitely speak to your healthcare provider, whoever's providing the injections. But it might be, if it is severe enough, then do see someone in person. I'm sorry that we can't give anything really much more than that on a open forum.
Yeah, or email in if you haven't said that, definitely. Somebody's asking about the best time for cardio with weight loss. I think that is slightly more personal than it being a generic advice. There is a little bit, I think, of advice or recommendation that we might burn a few more calories or we might burn a little bit more fat if we're in a less fed state when we do cardio. But again, if you're exhausted, you can't get your best performance. So it's sort of like a real know yourself. If this is a new journey and you're just starting, I think it's about finding a time of day that you can consistently do some sort of movement or exercise. And although we're good for cardio for our cardiovascular health, we also want that resistance. The sort of strength training is such an important point to be remembering as well. So you want to be splitting up your exercise a little bit, making sure you're hitting both types. Cardio for the overall cardiovascular health, and then that resistance for the muscle health and the muscle strength that's so important to maintain. So yeah. People manage swapping from Manjari to Wegovy. Well, it's very people swap. We see a lot of swapping between medications. How that works is very individual. I think some people would say it's totally fine, no difference in the beneficial effect of the medication. If you're a Boots Online doctor customer, they have a lot of support and advice and recommendations about what doses you should switch around into, if that's something you want to consider.
Yeah. Um,
Uh,
how soon should I see a difference when I start an injection? I would, so if you've just taken one dose, I wouldn't expect to see a whole lot of difference right at the beginning. Um, as you know, the weight loss injections increase month by month. If you want to increase month by month, a lot of people do not need to increase month by month, and we encourage people to stay on the lowest, most effective dose, because there are side effects. There could be some side effects at the higher doses and not at the lower doses for you as an individual. So we don't know, unfortunately, before we start medication, who will be affected and who won't. Also remember, we are not in a rush. I think it's really easy. I think when we've struggled for a long time with our weight to really want the result and want it now, and I don't think there's anything wrong with I can totally understand that. But what we know about the body is that even though we've got these fancy new drugs and all sorts, the body is still the same. The body is still this amazing, primal, incredible machine, although I hate that machine, but the word machine. But anyway, let's regard it as a machine because it is a bit easier. Um, but it still behaves in the same way. Our physiology is still the same whether we have the medication or not. We know that if you starved yourself, okay, for whatever reason, maybe there's some kind of natural disaster, and unfortunately, you have to starve yourself for a number of weeks and you lost a lot of weight very quickly, your body will do everything it can to conserve energy. And that means slowing down your metabolism. And that means really making a little go a long way. Okay. So whatever little bits of food you ate, it would, your body is trying to conserve energy as much as possible. So can you imagine if we induced that artificially with a medication, just you had no appetite. But your body thinks that there's been a natural disaster and there's nothing to eat. So your body then goes into emergency mode, slows everything down so that you are maxing out what you can get from every morsel you eat or whatever you drink. So think of it that way. So we can extrapolate that out that we do not want the body to think that we are starving. Basically, we want the body to realize that this is a gradual, step by step, not really noticing, la 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 la. A couple of pounds a week is not a big deal. There's no need to go to panic stations. There's no need to slow anything down. Everything is functioning just perfectly. So please don't try and there's a lot of rubbish out there on social media about rapid or dramatic weight loss, and we really don't want to encourage that at all, do we, Ruth? We really want to go for the slow and steady route or just gradual, because also that is the kind of weight loss that stays off in the long term and is easier to maintain because your metabolism is still as fast as it was, and maybe even faster if you are building muscle. Your metabolism will speed up. So that's what we want to work with your physiology and not against it. So really, I
And also, just to say, you don't need to be on a weight loss medication to lose weight either. There
yes.
will be some people who are here who are on weight loss medication. There may be some people who aren't for various reasons. There's a question in the chat box about other medications that are available to support weight loss. There are other medications available. If you're interested and you want a medication, do write in on your account for your patient messaging and see if you can access some support that way. It is so personal, so it's about your own personal journey. I can see Sam has got more Wi-Fi issues, so I'm going to bring us to a close here because we're just over the 2 o'clock. We will be back next week on Monday talking about what to eat for weight loss. So please join us if you would like to. Have really great weeks. Just work on you. You know, this isn't a competition or you're not in competition with anyone else. Take it at your own steady rate and really look after yourselves. That's the most important thing. Really think about that why, really dig in and really just, learn what is important for you because that's, we're all on journeys with this. So it's about your personal journey. Thanks so much for your time, everyone, and really hope to see you very soon. Take care.